It's a massive weekend at LakePoint Sports with the PBR Future Games, and that makes this a perfect time to welcome back in PBR Georgia Scouting Director Phil Kerber. Phil, welcome to what I think has to be pretty much baseball Christmas for you.
Absolutely. It's going to be the most heavily watched event of the entire summer. Last year, there were 350 coaches in attendance, and I'm expecting that number to balloon through live stream and our social media presence this summer.
These future games, though, they're going to look different. I mean, there's 3 different locations, games also in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. 21 teams, though, will be at LakePoint Sports, including your PBR Georgia team. There's obviously some very familiar names when you start looking at this roster, but kind of take me through the process of putting this team together and let me know, why are these guys going to defend their home turf?
Yeah, the process really began 8-9 months ago in November with our first underclass event and just took off from there. As we continued through the year, having events in January, then the high school spring season, our summer events, and summer tournaments, all those were used to identify the top uncommitted 22s and 23s in the state and get them on board to represent Team Georgia. And really excited for my pitching staff. The arms we're bringing have all been 90 plus on the mound, which gets me fired up because I know that those guys are going to come out, and in that atmosphere, we might see some of them get some personal records on the mound. I can't say for sure, but I'm fairly confident some of these guys could be come out throwing 92, 93, 94. And it kind of starts with Manning West, who was the first guy I invited, first guy to accept his invite. And we had seen him back in September when he had come and played in the tournament, and have been following him ever since. Big 6'6", 230-pound, just a monstrous frame on the mound that it's got to be a little imposing for hitters when they step in the box and see such a large human being standing there in front of them. And he's been up to 90, 91 with swing and miss off-speed stuff. It kind of just trickles down from there with the arms. Luke Fernandez, one of my personal favorites, who I've been watching since he was a freshman. Another guy that has great feel and great polish on the mound, 4 pitches, and he's going to throw for strikes. And there's Bryce Archie, another physical kid we've seen up to 91, been reports that he's up to 93. And that gets me excited for this event because I hope he comes out throwing that. But even if he is 88, 91, that's still eye-opening for a lot of coaches. And he's also a standout quarterback on the gridiron. And then Caden Spivey, guy that we've become very familiar with this summer. Doesn't have the physicality that those other guys have, but probably has one of the quickest arms in the state. Another guy that's going to work in the low 90s and has feel for a split change and a slider. And then we capped it off with the number 1 ranked 23 in the state and top 10 nationally ranked Dylan Lonergan, who we saw him as an 8th grader up to 87, and now he's working 90, 91. Really excited to have him because, saw him back in the spring and haven't been able to see him this summer, but we know he's the real deal. And he's also a very good quarterback as well. Guy who could potentially be a 2-sport athlete in college. So it's really impressive. And I mean, these arms are getting me really excited. I'm pumped to see them get on the mound and throw some gas.
All right, so take us elsewhere. I mean, when you look at the rest of this line, what from an offensive standpoint are you bringing with you?
Yeah, offensively, I think our team speed is going to be tops at the event. We've pulled together probably, looking at the roster, 6 or 7 guys that are sub 6'7", 60. Some of them may even post some 6'4", 6'5", and they're going to fly around the outfield, infield, and the bases, and they're going to have the green light to steal bags. It's on them if they want to. I'm fairly confident that a lot of these guys are going to be able to do it pretty regularly. And it kind of starts with our outfielders, Justin Thomas and Jamie Felix, 2 guys that we became, again, very familiar with this summer from Game On Stealth. Thomas, basically prototypical leadoff hitter, guy that can spray line drives around the entire diamond, and then a very good defender. He's got good speed, good arm, that he's going to be a future center fielder. And then his teammate, Jamie Felix. Felix is another guy that's probably going to be a 2-sport athlete at the next level. You go on Rivals or one of those football recruiting sites, you see he's a 4-star running back, and he can also handle the corner outfield position. But what really sets him apart is his swing. At the plate, he's got quick, strong hands, and the strength is unbelievable. You see the kid, he's probably 5'11", 205 pounds. Just that you could tell he's a running back when he steps in the plate. And if he loses no athleticism, though, carrying all that weight, it enhances all of his abilities. So I'm really excited to see what he can do. And then Luke Boone, another game-on guy, who one of the most violent swings I've seen this summer, just can absolutely turn on baseballs. So, come showcase time, I'd say college coaches should be locked in on his round because there are going to be some balls that are going to go quite a way. And rounding out the outfielders, got John Long, a guy that popped up at one of our showcases, 6'6" runner, 89 from the outfield, posts very high-end blast motion data. And I'm excited, left-handed hitter too. So I'm excited to see what he can do on this big stage. A guy out of Glenn Academy, which is way South Georgia, probably about 30 minutes north of Jacksonville. So I think he's a guy that's been flying under the radar, but he's going to get his opportunity to showcase his stuff. And then we added Cameron Douglas just this week. He's from Woodstock High School, 6'4", Cougar guy. He big frame, projectable, ton of bat speed that I saw in the spring, and he can get on the mound and throw 90. So there's a dual two-way guy there that has a lot of promise. And kind of moving on into the infield, middle infielders, Tanner Knowles, Perry High School, 5-star guy. He could potentially be the fastest guy on the squad. We've seen reports of him being a 6'4" runner, but he's also got some competition up the middle with Chandler Pollard, who's a shortstop outfielder who's also run 6'4" 60s before. So we've got some speed up the middle. I can say that for sure. And both those guys, I'm hoping, can set some personal records. Maybe we'll see a 6'3" out of one of them. That'll be a pretty cool thing to see. And round out the middles is Colin Hawk, the guy who was with our junior Future Games team last summer and has just really taken off in his development. This spring was starting on the number 1 ranked high school team in the state, Parkview, which I'd say that's pretty rare because Parkview is a loaded high school program, and to see a freshman break into that starting lineup is truly an accomplishment. And, he's added weight to the frame. There's more power. He's always been a real athletic kid, also a quarterback, and has the potential to start for Parkview as a sophomore. So there's just a lot to like about Hawk. And to the corners, one of my favorite bats on this team, and one of my favorite bats I've seen all year in the past 12 months, Tyler Trish. Got a chance to see him in the spring at the Georgia Dugout Club tournament for North Forsyth. And he was facing a Georgia commit that was throwing in the low 90s and did not back down. Barreled up 2 pitches, got 2 doubles out of it. And from that moment, I knew that that's a guy that I want on my team because he's going to be facing that same type of velo this weekend. And I have 0 doubts that he's going to shy away from it or have any problem handling it. And we had at first base, Jay Murdoch, team elite, big physical left-handed swing. And, when I was looking at first base, that's what I want. I want a physical left-handed hitter, and Murdoch fits the bill all the way down. Another guy that comes showcase time, there's going to be some balls that are hit a long way by him. And then finally, a two-way guy, 2023 Ty Pete, home plate Chili Dogs, Trinity Christian High School. We saw him in the spring as well, was 81, 83 on the mound, but you could tell that given 6'3", 180, that there's a lot more in the tank. And we've gotten reports that he's up to 87 now, which really excites me. And then has a sweet left-handed swing, just almost picture perfect, one that he's going to be another guy that once he continues to add strength and physicality, he's going to have power to all fields. And it's going to be exciting to see him come out and compete. And finally, our backstops. I got 3 of them. Jonathan Bagoa will lead off with. He's super athletic behind the dish. Quick actions, smooth actions, has a big arm. And one of the things I really like about him is that he plays with a chip on his shoulder. There's that fiery attitude where he's going to take it to you, and he's not going to let up. He's going to beat you into the ground, whether it's from behind the plate or offensively where he can swings a nice right-handed stick. So that's a guy that I think is going to bring some intensity to the games. And David Bell, two-way guy, who I really liked. Bell, probably he was 2 springs ago when I went out to Greenbrier and saw him play. is kind of a guy that their coach told me about. So I've been keeping an eye on him for the past year and a half, and came to our event in the summer, posted some of the best defensive numbers. But what really, I think, is Bell's future may be on the mound. Now, he can do two-way, but on the mound, it's different. He's up to 89 with a 12-6 hammer, and the at-bats that he forces hitters into are super uncomfortable because he's starting his motion the moment 1 foot steps in that box. He does not let guys settle in at all. It's a ton of fun to watch how quick he works and just throws a ton of strikes. So he's a guy that, two-way potential for sure, but I definitely think that on the mound, he's got a future. And finally, rounding out the catchers, Cale Strickland, son of Scott Strickland, University of Georgia head baseball coach. You could tell he's a coach's son. Everything he does is so fundamentally sound, from receiving, blocking, just being a leader on the field. I've seen him play a couple of times this summer, and you can tell he kind of handles the pitchers very well, knows how to talk to them and things like that. And with the pitching staff we've got, I think that's become very valuable because he's going to be seeing some big-time arms. And then offensively, big right-handed stick. And he's just kind of grown, getting physical right now. So there's even more power that's going to come into that swing. And he's going to be a really fun one to watch as well.
All right, be honest with me. How much bragging rights go into how your team performs this weekend?
Quite a bit. We face off against Mid-Atlantic, Carolinas, and Florida. I'm really looking forward to the Florida game because it's two of the premier baseball states in the country. So there's a little bit of bragging rights on the line there, but I'm saving my best for last for that game. We'll roll out Luke Fernandez and Dylan Lonergan and see how two of the top-ranked pitchers in the entire country do fare against some of the best hitters in the country. That's a game I think, if you're watching anything during the Future Games, be locked in on that one. That's the last time slot on Monday. So that one's going to be a fun one.
All right, Phil's laying down the gauntlet. Going to be talent everywhere, and you can watch all of the PBR Future Games exclusively on LakePoint Live, powered by PlaySite. Head over to LakePointSports.com to find out more. And for all the latest from the Future Games, be sure to follow Phil on Twitter at Phil Kerber PBR. Phil, appreciate it as always, and enjoy the weekend.
Thank you, Corey.